Yeah, I'll do the sweet and sour chicken. Uh-huh. Yep, extra sauce and a side of SOHO. By the time we're done here, we will explore how network architecture looks in a small office, home office, or SOHO environment. And I don't know what it is about SOHO. I just think of ordering Chinese food every single time I think of it. So, big networking companies didn't used to be as interested in the home office or small office environment as they are today. And that's because businesses have begun to adopt a new model, and you are starting to see it everywhere. That is, they're saving a lot of costs by, instead of housing employees, meaning building big buildings and bringing all the employees to one place, they're just letting them work from home, which allows the employee some great employee satisfaction because they're like, I have no commute. I can, wear my pajamas to work, all that kind of stuff. But more so, it saves the company a lot of money and sometimes results in increased productivity. Depends on the employee. Now, when you think about the small office, home office environment, I want to take you back to the pet store of dreams, because we used this as a model in a previous video to talk about WAN architecture, to say, okay, when the single pet store becomes many different pet stores, what kind of WAN connections could they have? But we never took the time when we were doing that to say, well, what does the internal network of that pet store of dreams look like? And on this one, I'm going to say, there really is no right answer. I'm giving you a picture right now, and I know I'm back to the video. I'm giving you a picture right now of what one might look like, but I want to tell you that it's different all over the place. For example, you might say, well, do I need redundant internet connections? Maybe. Do I need redundant switches? Maybe. Well, what level do we do that? Is it one employee? Is it 20 employees? I mean, when do we do that? There's no right answer. I'll give you a perfect example. A CFO for a company actually lives down the street from me. I walked into his house. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. He has redundant multi-layer switches. He has 2 routers with different internet connections. He has a cellular backup to where if those internet connections both go down, it automatically uses a cellular data plan to provide internet access to him and his family in his house. I'm like, who are you? It's not so much who is he. It's the fact that the company found it valuable enough, or that his role was valuable enough, that they built him a full-on, resilient business network inside of his house. It all depends on what is the cost to the company if that connection goes down and that employee or group of employees or entire office is down for an extended time. So know that when I'm showing you this, I'm showing you kind of the core pieces of what a small office, home office network might look like, and it can grow from here. We have essentially the router that can have one or multiple internet connections. You can see that, and I said internet, multiple WAN connections. One of them will likely be an internet connection, not always, but it could be. And the other one will be either a public switch telephone network or an MPLS network. And so let me talk a little bit about that for a second. PSTN, public switch telephone network, it is what it sounds like. It's phone lines coming into a router. Yeah, that's because routers have now gained the ability in many cases to support a voice over IP phone system. So you've got a phone system sitting inside of that pet store of dreams, right? Everybody can call. You can call back to the groomer in the back, and that phone system could be powered by the router. Now, if somebody dials 9, at least in the United States, we do that all the time, to get an outside line, where does it get that dial tone from? Well, it could be direct from the public switch telephone network, a phone carrier coming in and providing dial tone to those phones, or it could be more central. Again, this goes back to the wide area network architecture where I talked about how the pet store of dreams could link up over a private network, because on that private network, you gain the ability to get quality of service, high quality audio, and get their dial tone from maybe a server up here. And the pet store of dreams has decided to consolidate all of their PSTN connections up here at their headquarters office, right? That could be a thing. Or, this is where I'm just like, sky's the limit. This pet store of dreams may say, we're going budget. We're going to not even have a secondary connection there. And these phones will get their dial tone over a VPN on the internet that links them back to our corporate site. And we're just going to, we're going to take the risk. We're going to assume that if that internet connection goes down, that, the employees are going to be fine without having a phone system, right? So again, enough on that. I'm just saying there's variety here. We have the router that then goes into the switch, and usually you'll have one or more wireless access points in the small office, home office. Now, how those wireless access points are configured and controlled could be a variety of ways. It could be standalone, autonomous wireless access points. That's the one that we pretty much know and love, that we put in our houses all over the place. We buy it, unwrap the shrink wrap, and then plug it in and figure out how we're going to configure that WAP. Well, when you get to a scaling business where they have not one, but 1,000 home offices and small offices, they'll typically go with a controller or cloud-based wireless access point. In the Cisco world, that's the difference between their mainline enterprise access points, which are controller-based, and a whole series that they actually acquired. They bought a company called Meraki, and now they call it Cisco Meraki, where you plug in the wireless access point, it goes to the cloud, that is Meraki, to configure itself, and you can manage it from a web interface up there. So either way, those two wireless access point styles give you that plug-and-play wireless where you can plug it in and control it from a central location. The small office, home office may or may not have a server. Probably not in our cloud-based world, but a lot of times, maybe in a Pet Store of Dreams, they got a little cashier system up there checking people out. Maybe that goes to a little small server sitting in the back. It's not going to be probably the servers like yesterday, or rack-mounted, loud fans, all that kind of stuff. It might be, for that, a Raspberry Pi, for all we know, one of those micro-sized computers sitting back there. Or those computers more likely would report back to the central site, headquarters, cloud-based kind of system. The only other thing I want to show you is a lot of times in the small office, home office, and it's not just there, it's all over the place, you'll see IP phones with daisy-chained computers. This saves a bunch on cabling the building. As a matter of fact, let me show you something. The phone I had when I was ordering Chinese food is actually an IP phone. See this right here? IP phone. Right on the back, you can see that I've got my incoming LAN connection. I probably can't see that right there too well. But right next to it, oh, that backwards thing kills me. Right next to it, right here is a built-in switch for a computer that you can plug in. This is for, right here, this is for auxiliary things like, headsets and all that kind of, well, that's a headset. That's for a, the expansion panels where you can get add-ons and add more. Let me sell you a phone right now while I'm at it. The whole point I'm trying to say is I could plug a computer into this and daisy chain it from the phone. In locations where you have those things co-resident, oh yeah, that works perfectly. That should give you an idea of what that small office and even home office environment might look like. We're blending the two worlds together. When you get to larger companies, they will have templates beyond templates. They'll have for the executive home worker. They'll have for the small office with and inside of those templates, they'll have, here's our standard list, here's our standard configurations. Rinse, repeat every single time. This is why a lot of the large companies, enterprise networking companies, are jumping in there. Is they want those connections to be reliable by using network equipment that stays up all the time and is supported. You now see how the network architecture looks in a small office, home office environment. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.